Have you ever been seized by the chilling suspicion that you are living a miniature version of the life you were meant to live? It is a quiet and haunting feeling, a dissonant chord that hums beneath the surface of your most celebrated achievements. From the outside, you may appear to be a success, a fully functioning adult who has mastered the game of life. You have the credentials, the responsibilities, the respectable facade. Yet in the silent theater of your own mind, you are acutely aware of a vast, undiscovered continent within you, a potential self of immense power, creativity, and authenticity that remains dormant, a sleeping giant you have neither the courage nor the map to awaken. You feel a profound and persistent ache, a nostalgia for a life you have not yet lived, a grief for the magnificent person you have not yet become. You have, of course, tried to solve this problem with the only tools our culture provides. It offers a singular, monolithic answer to the question of potential. It is a mountain to be climbed. You must strive harder, discipline yourself more rigorously, optimize your routines, and hustle with a relentless, almost inhuman ferocity. You have been told that your potential is a matter of achievement, of external validation, of accumulating more money, more status, more skills, more accolades. You have treated your life as a project to be managed, your soul as a muscle to be trained, believing that if you just push hard enough, you will finally break through to that next level of your being. But it has not worked. Each summit you reach reveals another, higher peak in the distance. Each achievement once attained feels hollow and unsatisfying, leaving you with the same gnawing emptiness you started with. The applause fades, and you are left alone in the silence with the same disquieting feeling of being a fraud. And you are left with a terrifying thought. What if the entire map is wrong? What if your true potential is not a mountain to be conquered on the outside, but a world to be discovered on the inside? What if the path to realizing your potential is not one of striving but of surrender, not one of addition but of subtraction? Carl Jung, the profound psychologist of the soul, offered a radically different vision of human potential, one that stands in stark opposition to our modern, ego-driven ethos. For Jung, your true potential is not something you build, it is something you uncover. It is not a future version of you that you must strive to become. It is the timeless, primordial totality of who you already are, buried beneath the rubble of your conditioning, your fears, and your carefully constructed identity. The journey to realize this potential, a process he famously called individuation, is not a heroic ascent into the sunlit peaks of worldly success, but a terrifying archaeological dig into the darkness of your own psyche. Most people never undertake this journey. They spend their lives polishing the surface of a pot, never knowing that the lamp of Aladdin is buried within it. To realize your true potential, in the Jungian sense, is to have the immense courage to smash the pot, to descend into the darkness, and to finally claim the genie that has been waiting for you all along. The great forgetting, how your persona buries your potential. The first and most significant obstacle to your true potential is the very person you believe yourself to be. From your earliest days, as Carl Jung observed, you were engaged in a process of profound psychic compromise. You were born as a vast, chaotic, and multifaceted being, a bundle of pure, unadulterated potential. But you learned very quickly that only a small, specific slice of this totality was acceptable to your family, your school, and your society. To survive, to be loved, to belong, you had to amputate vast portions of your authentic self. This is the creation of what Jung termed the persona, the social mask, the acceptable you that you present to the world. If you were a sensitive, artistic child in a pragmatic family that valued only logic and hard work, You learn to bury your sensitivity, to see your artistic impulses as frivolous and shameful. If you were a boisterous, powerful girl in a culture that demanded feminine quietude and deference, you learned to cage your power, to make yourself smaller and less threatening. If you were a thoughtful, introspective boy in a world that valued athletic prowess and social dominance, you learned to feign an interest in things that left your soul cold, to hide your rich inner world behind a mask of conventional masculinity. Each of us is a graveyard of these sacrificed selves. Your persona, this competent and successful person you have become, is the polished tombstone that marks the spot where your true, multifaceted potential was buried. You have become so identified with this tombstone that you have forgotten the vibrant, living being interred beneath it. Your life becomes the project of maintaining and decorating this monument. You get the right job, the right partner, the right hobbies, all to reinforce the identity inscribed upon it. The problem, as Jung would argue, is that a tombstone, no matter how impressive, is a monument to something dead. The feeling of being stuck, of living a miniature life, is the direct consequence of this misidentification. You are trying to draw life from a stone. You are the king of a graveyard, wondering why your kingdom feels so lifeless and devoid of meaning. Realizing your potential, therefore, begins with an act of profound betrayal. You must be willing to betray the person you have pretended to be for your entire life. You must be willing to disappoint the expectations of everyone who has benefited from your performance, including the demanding tyrant of your own ego. It is the terrifying process of taking off the mask and allowing the raw, unformed, and often monstrous face of your true self to be seen. The first step on the Jungian path to finding your potential is not to add a new skill or a new habit. It is to enter a state of profound not knowing, to have the courage to ask the question, if I am not this mask, this collection of roles and achievements, then who am I? This question is the crowbar that begins to pry the lid off your own tomb. The inner kingdom, the self as the source of all potential. So, if you are not your persona, then who are you? Carl Jung's most crucial and revolutionary contribution to human thought was his concept of the self. The self is not the ego, your conscious sense of identity which you mistake for your whole self. The self is the totality of your being, both conscious and unconscious. It is the organizing intelligence of your entire psyche, the inner God image, the divine blueprint of your unique and unrepeatable wholeness. Your true potential is nothing less than the living embodiment of this blueprint, the complete and courageous manifestation of this inner totality. The self is not a goal to be achieved, it is a reality to be realized. It is already present within you in its complete and perfect form. Jung used the powerful metaphor of the acorn that contains the entire oak tree. Your ego's job is not to create the oak tree, to force it into a shape it deems desirable. Its job is to get out of the way, to create the fertile soil, the safe and loving container in which the acorn can grow according to its own innate, mysterious and sacred intelligence. The modern, striving, controlling and hyper-managed approach to self-improvement is, from a Jungian perspective, like an anxious gardener constantly digging up the seed to see if it's growing, thereby ensuring that it never will. The self communicates with the ego, but not in the direct, logical language the ego prefers. The self, Jung taught, speaks in the symbolic, often paradoxical language of the unconscious. It speaks in dreams, in synchronicities, in the strange compulsions and physical symptoms that your ego dismisses as neurotic or meaningless. The feeling of meaninglessness that haunts you is not a sign of your failure. It is a sacred summons from the self. It is the self's way of telling the ego, the life you are living is too small. The mask you are wearing is suffocating me. The tomb you have built is not my home. It is time to grow. It is time to become whole. The path to your potential, therefore, is a path of listening. It is the art of turning your attention away from the clamoring, distracting noise of the external world, and toward the quiet, subtle, and often disturbing whispers of your own soul. It requires a radical shift in orientation. You must stop treating your inner world, your dreams, your fantasies, your dark moods, as a chaotic basement to be feared, ignored, and controlled. You must, as Jung urged, start treating it as a sacred oracle, the true source of your wisdom and guidance. Your potential is not out there, in the world's applause or on the next rung of the corporate ladder. It is in there, in the forgotten, treasure-filled landscapes of your own unconscious. The descent into the goldmine, unearthing the shadow's treasure. How do you access this inner world? Where is the entrance to this lost kingdom of the self? Carl Jung is uncompromising on this point. The gateway to the self is always through the shadow. The shadow is the repository of all the parts of yourself that you have disowned and repressed in order to construct your respectable persona. It is your anger, your fear, your shame, your sexuality, your irrationality, all the messy, chaotic, and powerful aspects of your humanity that you have been taught to condemn as bad. Our culture, in its one-sided worship of the light, teaches you to see your shadow as an obstacle to your potential. You believe you must conquer your fear, eliminate your anger, and overcome your shame in order to succeed. Jung teaches the exact opposite, a truth of profound and shocking power. Your shadow is not an obstacle, it is the raw material. It is the unrefined, primordial psychic energy, the prima materia of the alchemists, from which all creativity, all vitality, and all genuine potential are born. You have been sitting on a gold mine, complaining that you are poor. Your greatest potential is inextricably bound up with the very things you are most ashamed of. Consider your fear. You have been taught to see it as a weakness, a sign that you are not ready, that you must retreat. But from a Jungian perspective, your fear is a sacred compass. It almost always points directly toward your next necessary step of growth, a process Jung called the transcendent function. The thing you are most afraid of doing, whether it is speaking your truth in a relationship, starting a creative project, or leaving a deadening job, is almost certainly the very thing you must do to unlock the next level of your being. The ego fears it precisely because it represents a death of the old, familiar, and safe self, and a birth into a larger, more unknown reality. Your potential does not lie on the other side of your fear, it lies in your fear. As the mythologist Joseph Campbell, heavily influenced by Jung, would say, "The treasure you seek is in the cave you are most afraid to enter." Consider your anger. You have been taught that it is a negative and destructive emotion, but your anger is a guardian of your boundaries and a source of incredible life force. The chronic nice person who has repressed their anger for decades is often a person without passion, without direction, a ghost in their own life. For them, the Jungian path requires a descent into their shadow to reclaim the raw, fierce, and sacred energy of their anger. When integrated, that raw rage is transmuted into focused passion, the unwavering conviction to pursue a mission, the courage to say no to the trivial so they can say a powerful yes to the vital. Even your laziness and apathy are sacred clues. They are not signs that you are broken, but signs that your psychic energy has gone on strike. It is, in Jung's view, a form of unconscious protest against a life that is not aligned with the self. Your energy is not gone. It has simply withdrawn from the surface of your life and gone underground into the unconscious. The only way to get it back is to follow it down. You must ask your apathy, what is the meaningful, passionate life that you are saving your energy for? The task is not to whip the lazy ego into shape, but to find the project so compelling, so aligned with the soul, that the sleeping giant of your energy awakens with a roar. The alchemical fire, the agony and necessity of transformation. This work of confronting and integrating the shadow is not a pleasant intellectual exercise. It is a visceral, often agonizing alchemical process. It is a trial by fire. Carl Jung knew that the path to wholeness was not a gentle stroll, but a dangerous and often terrifying journey. When you consciously turn to face the parts of yourself you have abandoned, you do not just remember them, you re-experience them. You will feel the white-hot rage of every injustice you ever swallowed. You will feel the crushing grief of every loss you never fully mourned. You will feel the profound shame of every perceived failure and inadequacy that you have tried to outrun. This is the stage where most people turn back. The intensity is too much. The pain is too great. It feels like you are going backward, that you are getting worse, not better. The ego will scream that this is a terrible mistake, that you must return to the safety of the light, the comfort of the known. But you must understand, as the alchemists and Jung did, that this is the process of solutio, of dissolution. You are being cooked. The fire is burning away everything that is not essential, everything that is not your true self. The old, rigid structures of your persona are being dissolved in the acid of this rediscovered emotion. It is a necessary death, the prerequisite for any true rebirth. To survive this fire, you need a new kind of container. The old container of your egoic, rational mind will shatter. The new container, as Jung taught, is one of compassionate, non-judgmental awareness. You must learn to be the calm, loving witness to your own inner storm. You must hold your own pain, your own rage, your own shame with the same unconditional love that a mother holds a crying infant. You must realize that you are not the storm. You are the vast, silent sky that holds the storm. This is the cultivation of the self as your new center of gravity. During this process, you must also find a way to give form to the chaotic energies that are being released. This is the crucial role of creativity in the realization of your potential, a process Jung called active imagination. You must write, paint, dance, sculpt, sing, not to create a product for the world, but to engage in a direct living dialogue with your own soul. As you externalize the images and feelings from your unconscious, you are not just venting, you are integrating. You are building a bridge between the conscious and unconscious worlds, allowing the raw, undifferentiated energy of the shadow to be transformed into the fuel for your new, more authentic life. The birth of the real. Living your individuated life. What emerges from this alchemical fire? What is on the other side of this dark night of the soul? It is not the perfect self of popular self-help. It is not a being who is free from pain or conflict. What emerges in the Jungian vision is the whole self. It is you, finally stripped of all your illusions, all your pretenses, and all your conditioning. It is you in all your glorious, paradoxical, and messy humanity. The realization of your potential does not manifest as a sudden, dramatic explosion of worldly success. It manifests as a quiet, steady, and unshakable sense of your own being. You no longer look outside yourself for validation or a sense of direction. You have found the compass within. You are no longer living according to the shoulds and oughts of the collective, but according to the deep inner logic of your own soul. This is the culmination of the process that Carl Jung called individuation, becoming an individual, undivided, a unique and whole person, distinct from the collective consciousness. This new life is often much smaller and quieter than the ego's grandiose fantasies. It may not win you fame or fortune, but it will be saturated with a quality that is infinitely more valuable: meaning. Your work, whether you are a CEO or a carpenter, becomes an expression of your deepest self, a form of service to the world that only you can offer. This, for Jung, is the discovery of one's true vocation. Your relationships become authentic and profound as you're now able to meet others from a place of wholeness, not neediness. Your relationship with life itself is transformed. You no longer see it as a problem to be solved or a battle to be won, but as a great mystery to be participated in. You will find that your potential was never about what you could do, but about who you could become. It was never about achieving a specific outcome, but about inhabiting a specific quality of being. You have not climbed a mountain, you have become the mountain, solid, grounded, and rooted in your own truth. You are no longer a tombstone. You are the tree that has grown from the grave, drawing nourishment from the very darkness that once held you captive, reaching for the light not because you should, but because it is your nature. Look then at your life. Look at the places where you feel stuck, where you feel the most profound sense of frustration and meaninglessness. Do not turn away. Do not try to fix it. Look closer, for these are not signs of your failure. They are sacred portals. They are the X that marks the spot on your inner map, the map drawn for us by Jung. Have the courage to stop climbing, to stop striving, to stop running towards the light. Turn around and begin the real journey, the only journey that matters, the descent into your own magnificent, terrifying, and treasure-filled darkness. Your true potential is not waiting for you out there in some distant future. It is waiting for you right here, right now, in the very heart of everything you have been taught to fear.